How's it going, everybody? It is Monday the 8th of September and it is a great start to the week. That day out there is quite sunny, cloud free, great. Over the weekend we had a couple of great events throughout the north of Ireland, and I managed to attend one, which was the province-wide protest held up at Stormont by the guys from East Belfast. The other event that went on was Newry, which was absolutely amazing. They drew a big crowd. They remained nice and calm, didn't start any trouble, even though they were being surrounded on all sides by counter-protesters. Great speeches all round. Even the likes of Tony Mallon showed up, Niall McConnell showed up, and even Philip Dwyer made an appearance himself, among many other great people. So it's good to see that the baby steps towards us working as a unified group throughout the country are actually moving forward. It's great to see, so it is. But the province-wide protest, I went up to that one, and that was held by Stephen Baker. As I say, he'd be East Belfast fella, and I thought that when I go up to that, happy days, province-wide, and there's going to be plenty of people at it and whatever. And just for the humorous side of it, I got down there and I noticed there was 0 Irish flags, which I'm not making an issue of it. But when I was walking towards it, I thought, you're out of your depth here, Mike, you're out of your depth. Oh God, here we go. But Stephen calmed me down straight away. Not that I was anyway hyped up, and went up, shook hands, said hello, and whatever else. And he caught me off guard, said to me, do you want to speak? I thought, why not? Sure, I could muster up a few words, they say. And to be fair, it was only a few words, because when you have hundreds of eyes staring at you, especially in an area where growing up you might have been a wee bit timid to walk around, we'll just say. Great reception. So it was absolutely great reception. And as I say, man, a few words, I was myself, not compared to Stephen Baker himself, who's a fantastic public speaker, absolutely fantastic, so he is. Freedom Dad was talking there too, and after I spoke, plenty of applause and cheers came from the audience. I've had since then good feedback from the few videos that I posted from that. A couple of guys came over to speak to me. There's the 2 Jims who I'll be making contact with, because the overall message of the gathering was common law and effectively our powers as individuals, if you will. That would also be known as your sovereignty or your right of self-determination. And it was great to see everybody getting on well and whatever else. And I even managed to get 2 copies of the Light newspaper, which is basically a truth paper, as opposed to the ones that you would buy in the shops with the headlines that make you feel terrible for the day. But one of the things that Freedom Dad mentioned there, and I'd like to point this out, is that he said that a lot of those guys, which is true, because if you look at social media, they're getting harassed constantly by the police, but they're being painted with the brush of, we don't want these people involved in this movement because of what they used to be, or who their associations would be, effectively referring to them as criminals. I think that's a bit of a joke, because the people that are calling them criminals are the present criminals that we're all actually trying to work together to move on. And while I'm on that point, Stephen himself mentioned about the glorious rebellion, or the great revolution, or the glorious revolution, whatever the name of it goes. Monmouth, I believe it was the start of it, where they overthrew King James II and put on King William III, I think it was. And Derry, where I would come from, would be heavily involved, or would have been heavily involved with that carry on. The siege of Derry obviously being the most prominent event we can point towards for that. But it shows now the position that we're all in. And it was great for him to say that, because that's how we all feel cross community here, is that we're at the point now where we're at the great rebellion against our leaders, the people that we were supposed to have supported because they're to do right by us, all of us. And as Stephen mentioned himself, you know, when you're talking to court, you're not talking to court as a Catholic, you're not talking to court as a Protestant, you're talking to court as a man or a woman. And that's all it is. We're just men and women, you know, and the right of self-determination and our sovereignty throughout the country means that just because we come from a different background doesn't mean that we don't have the right to have a say in how our country should be run. That means talking to politicians and whatever else, the way that we're trying to do with holding these public events and them avoiding us and doing whatever they want, corruption out the ears they have. That great rebellion, or the great revolution, is what is needed in 2025. And that just goes to show you that we're all actually on the same team. So we are. You know, we might have strikers from one area and defenders from another area and midfielders from all round and a goalkeeper that's just a hateful shite. And, you know, everybody's different, but they all have a vital role to play. And we all need each other to operate as a team, or else we're not going to win any matches. We're not going to win at all. You know, and we need to support each other, and that includes the fans that are watching, the people playing on their behalf. You know, so again, it was great to have such a warm reception up at Stormont from the East Belfast boys, and I'm hoping to see a lot more good stuff coming out about them, and hopefully I'll be able to keep contact with them and maybe make another appearance and possibly have another go at holding the microphone, maybe with something a wee bit prepared, so that I don't get tongue-tied the next time around. But I'll just finish off with the glorious revolution again and focus on the word revolution. What revolution actually is a turning. And we need to turn away from the old ways that don't serve us anymore and turn towards each other across community, you know, because we are all just the same. Thank you for listening. See you after.